Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. LightsThunderAction Loki Special 5 featuring Klein Felt will be on right after this song. Busting through the door like I straight up on the place. Got a thunder bringing smiles, attitude, and love and grace. It's okay if you didn't know this happens to be my day. See, I'm a semi-demi nice dude, and I want you to embrace the love within. Follow him, and he will guide you with this space. Lift your chin to their chagrin, and he will lift your light through space. Now it begins. Check your sins, and we will all achieve our fates. Beyond the veil, we see the truth that eternal happiness awaits. Let it spin like atoms in our very DNA. Take comfort in creation and write your very own screenplay. Oh, that song, nothing is wrong when you are living your own fate. With your light, interpret consciousness every single day. Suns explode, gassy roads, and ushers all planets off stage. It's the code, matrix mode, as the cycles in the plague. Don't you go or even know what it is like to be outraged. Don't outgrow lessons bestowed from the wizard. Is so sage, read what you sow. You're not old. Anything sub karma's flames, forgive the old transgressions and sins of enemies past games. Then behold the love the creator has placed within your veins. Pump it out, there is no doubt that in the end love reigns. Father?
Hello, my children.
Have we been good?
You've done exactly as you were meant to. But do not forget to share your love with everyone else.
Why?
Because to hold on to it and not spread it among the people defeats the very purpose of life itself.
Planets spin like atoms in our very DNA. Take comfort in creation and write your very own screenplay. Oh, that song, nothing is wrong when you are living your own fate. With your light, interpret consciousness every single day. Lightning bolt, water rolls, DNA is formed this way. Hyper jolt, boosting life into a constant state of change. Time rolls on, evolve my son, and keep your heart open today. Together we can end the hate that plagues humanity. We overcome what's been done as we evolve with each new life. Our souls hum and vibrate, teaching us with reincarnate strife, and love blossoms and our hearts strum in sync with our husband, our wife. And when that love is sours, we close our hearts because that pain is rife. Open up, get out the rut, and search for positive sides bright. Don't be numb when humans march to corruption's lies and fight. Let it go, meditate, yo. Find the peace and not the spite. To break the wheel of karma, you must forgive and love your life. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, Black Widow Day, July 8th, 2021. Welcome. I know it's Black Widow Day. We're so excited. Welcome to Loki Special 5 of LightsThunderAction, where every week two Thunder buddies discuss all things Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and the latest happenings in the entertainment industry. I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
I'm David Thompson, and today we've got a loaded show for you guys. It's a Loki special, but it's a Marvel special today, really, because there is a what-if trailer to discuss that I am very excited about. Of course, breaking down Loki Episode 5, Easter Egg Hunt. Just kidding. Journey into Mystery. And then finally, Black Widow preview, hype train, whatever you want to call it. Kind of some brief thoughts as... I know you're seeing it tonight, Thomas.
Yeah.
We got a very special guest coming up that I'm not sure if he's seeing it tonight, but we'll talk to him about that later. Before any of that, What do you have for me?
As always, we are live beaming directly into your homes and phones via Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Via our links, you can find Linktr.com/LightsThunderAction to get our Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, our YouTube, but we're not live streaming there, as well as the HWWSWebTV families, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Yeah, David, people don't like looking at our faces. Some people don't like our ads. But if they want to listen to our beautiful voices and skip those ads, where can they find the audio version of our podcast?
Yeah, you guys can find the audio version of LightsThunderAction on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, our hosting site Spreaker, along with a lot of other podcast networks, or I guess podcast channels or apps or platforms. Please reach out to us. Me, Thomas, or the LightsThunderAction social media pages. And if you cannot find our show on the podcast hosting site or whatever that you use, please let us know. And yes, of course, please follow, subscribe there. Give us 5 stars if you're feeling generous. We really appreciate that. We have all of our full catalog of audio podcasts from all of our live shows, interviews, Loki specials, all up now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, but it's time, ladies and gentlemen. You know what time it is. Plug your ears, put the women and children to bed, because this is about to get loud. Because beaming in from Canada, radio producer, writer, and editor for the Direct, Klein Felt.
Wow, that was an introduction. Jeez,
The legend. The Zack Snyder's Justice League stan himself, Klein Felt. We got him. We got him on the show.
How long was that? Who had the under before a Zack Snyder reference would come in? Oh, now we're getting Zack Snyder Star Wars. Let's go.
Oh
Yes.
What's with the Netflix love affair with Zack Snyder? Was that zombie movie actually good? I never saw it.
I haven't seen it either.
Awkward. None of us have seen it.
I think it's just like Zack Snyder movies print money. Like there's a mass of people that thoroughly enjoy Zack Snyder's work, and Netflix likes money. And so I think that it's a mutually beneficial agreement that they have going on.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And I think the fact that I think it's purposeful that they're like, oh, it's his Star Wars idea on Netflix. I think that immediately draws more attention than just some random sci-fi film. The fact that it technically, or it may have been, which I feel like by the time it actually comes out, it'll be probably pretty rough from what the actual pitch was of a Star Wars movie. Because, I mean, who knows what it was, but he probably has to replace a lot of different things. Klein, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm a little tired. The week is coming to an end pretty quick here. I guess tomorrow is the last day of the work week.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, doing pretty well. I'm excited. It's Black Widow Day, as you mentioned. I am still undecided as to whether I will see it today.
So you actually could get to a theater though.
I could get to a theater. So here's what's happening: is right now in good old the Great White North, Canada, there is a showing at midnight. Yeah. And I work morning radio, so I have to be up at 4 a.m., usually just before 4 a.m. So the plan would be, if I were to see Black Widow tonight, I would go from here to the theater, watch the movie, and then like piddle around for an hour and then go to work.
Just take a nap. Take a nap after the show.
Where? Like in the back of my Mazda Protege? Like I've been getting a bit of I don't know what you'd call it, a bit of drama. There's been some beef happening on the internet about me
from the Direct podcast has been encouraging you, let's say.
We'll call it encouraging. So I don't know what's going to happen if I don't end up seeing it tonight. It'll be I finish work usually around 10 a.m. Pacific, so it'll be a rush home and spend that $30 Disney Plus, so $30 Canadian. I don't know what it is in America.
It's $30.
Is it $30 down there too? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're getting a much better deal up here, because that would be like like $24 American. Oh no, I guess we're not getting a much better deal. I don't know. It's like $24 American.
Hey, I'd take 24 over 30.
Over 30, yeah. So
I'm not sure. I'm actually undecided if I'm gonna buy the Premiere Plus as well. Or
are you?
Premiere.
You're seeing it 100% tonight, right?
Oh yeah, 7 o'clock after the show, couple hour break, and then I'll be in the theater rocking my More Than a Fan Infinity War Marvel 10 Years shirt.
I've got. What do I have on? I got Aladdin.
Oh,
so I don't Disney, I guess.
Also, just for our audio podcast, I don't know where Thomas went, but I hope Thomas is coming back at some point. The God of Thunder, I think, will get back. Oh, fracking internet, he says.
He's got something against Canadians. I get it. I get it.
That's definitely it.
A Canadian team almost took away the Stanley Cup, and now he's upset.
Almost took it away. It was 4-1. My buddy, who's a huge Lightning fan, actually. Side note, he was saying how the what was it, the Montreal
Canadiens, les habitants.
He was mentioning that the Montreal fans were like going crazy after they won just the one game.
Oh yeah, they were flipping over cars. They were lighting police cars on fire. It's nuts.
It's ridiculous, man. Act like you've been there.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time for Canada.
Had they not been there in a long time?
No. The last cup that Canadians won, or that like a Canadian team won, was in 1993.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird though, because I feel like most NHL players are Canadian.
Exactly. Hockey's a Canadian sport. I'm in the minority for not liking hockey.
Right.
Yeah.
Klein, who do you have in the finals? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's it going to be? Suns or Bucks? I want to hear
it. Suns in 6.
Suns in 6.
Suns in 6. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's I'm so excited for the NBA Finals. Game 2 tonight. That's another thing. I'm like, oh yeah. Do I watch the finals or I go to Black Widow? But
I'm gonna try to do both.
I'm going ride or die with the Suns. I think like they've impressed me so much. They've impressed me like since the beginning of the year. Even last year in the bubble, I thought they did very well. They went 8-0 there, didn't make the playoffs, but like I've been so impressed with the composure of this team. Mm-hmm. They have, as you said a few seconds ago, like act like you've been there. They this whole time have acted like, yeah, this isn't a big deal. Like we belong here. And yeah, I'm going Suns over Milwaukee.
Yeah, I like it too. I said Suns in 7, just because I feel like it's going to go back and forth a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if just every home team won in this series, like each game.
Yeah.
But I love what Chris Paul is doing right now. I'm really happy Giannis is back, because this finals would have been just kind of upsetting if Giannis wasn't actually out there playing.
He looked a lot better in the first half of game 1 than he did in the second half, though. In the second half, he looked like a hindered Giannis. He looked like a Giannis with maybe a bit of a leg injury. But like in that first half, he had like a LeBron-esque chase down block. And
yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's funny you say that, because I kind of thought the same deal. And I think it was like Stan Van Gundy on the call, or no, Jeff Van Gundy. Yeah. He was mentioning how, I think he said it during the broadcast, was like, oh, like when he's playing, he's out there and he's running and he's moving and he's cutting. And then when he's walking, there's a slight limp.
Yeah.
And it kind of just goes to show kind of the toughness he had. I'm surprised.
When he went down, I'm like, there's ligaments torn in that. There's no way that there's no internal damage there. And then he's like 2 games later. But Giannis seems to do that. He seems to bounce back. He'll have these awful looking injuries and his leg will bend in a way that no human's leg should ever bend. And then it's like a week later, he's just like, oh yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, no, he's an alien. I was kind of surprised they like sent him back out there after 2 years ago when KD had that calf injury and then went out there and played and then tore his Achilles. So it's
and then what happened? The Raptors won the championship. So
congrats.
Actually, initially after the KD injured himself, us Canadian fans were known for being so nice, cheered that he was injured. So
yeah, that was that was the worst look. That's the worst Canadians I think have ever looked. That was that was so bad. Like, cause I mean, I'm not like, I hated those Warriors teams because Kevin Durant went there, and I'm even like, oh no, like that was just brutal.
But it is what it is.
As you wait for Thomas to come back, we do a little thing on here where we talk about like some stuff we've been watching lately. Is there anything like you've been watching lately that you want to shout out and talk about?
I've actually been, like 2 or 3 years late to this, but I've been going through HBO's Watchmen series right now.
Oh,
It
okay.
is so good. I don't know if you've
I
read
haven't
the
seen it.
comic at all or seen it, but yeah, it is. It's so good. I love the idea, and I wish more people would do this because it's not actually a adaptation of the comic book. It takes place in the comic book universe, but like later after it's done. So it has like touches.
Mhm.
It's very thematically the same, and there's little cameos of characters from the other one or from the comic book, but it's its own story, and it's based a lot more in like the themes, because the graphic novel was based in the themes of like the Russian US like conflict of the Cold War, whereas
Right.
this is based a little more on like the racial divide that we're kind of seeing now, and like police brutality and that kind of thing. It's
Right.
really good. It's very well done, and I love that it's just like it's one season and they're done. And honestly, I wish more kind of in this kind of fandom side of things, I wish more people would take chances like that, where it's like we're gonna not necessarily adapt this source material, but expand on it and like make the source material similar to like what a Rogue One did, where like we make the source material like even better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I'm
fun.
loving it though.
That's awesome. I haven't been watching much lately. I need to watch that. And there's something else on HBO I wanted to watch. Is it just wait? How many seasons is it on there?
It's only one. There's only one season, and they
Okay.
apparently HBO offered I forget his name. Lindelof is the last name. Offered him to do more, and he's like, no, it's a one season thing. Like I only envisioned one season. I don't want to do anymore.
Yeah, I want to read the comic. I've heard really great things about it.
It's so good. It's so good. But
Yeah, I want to check that out.
Watching that, and then just going through my Yu-Gi-Oh reruns as usual. And
nice. Yeah, I haven't been watching much lately. Honestly, I've been watching. I don't know. I watched. Oh, Loki, of course. I watched Black Widow Legends. It was the best Legends episode I've seen so far.
I really liked that. Like I fall down these like YouTube rabbit holes where I'll be like Iron Man edit, and it'll just these impeccably edited like 5-minute tributes to like characters in Star Wars and whatever.
Yeah,
and that's what I think that these Legends are actually just like very, very high production versions of that. Oh, look who came crawling back.
Yeah.
Thomas strikes back. He made it.
Oh yeah.
No, but
I'm gonna find some technology.
Your mic's might need to reset, or like it's going through the computer. It's all right. We'll get there, Thomas. One thing I wanted to say about Black Widow's Legends episode was it. Like I think I've watched all of them. I maybe didn't watch Loki or the TCRochesterACT episode, like the Loki episodes. I don't think I watched those. But this one, they do a really good job of like telling her story in a unique way, like almost starting at the end and then working back, like, and then going back to the beginning and starting from there. I really enjoy. I feel like they were a bit more creative in how they laid out, like telling the story of Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, whereas the other ones kind of felt a bit more like, this and that, and here we go. That one, Legends, it was 11 minutes long, and I'm like, wow, like that really caught me back up to speed, one, but also like in its own right tells a really cool story. Like they do, one part is amazing. Slight spoilers. There's not really spoilers, but just for how they do it, it's
for things that have already happened.
Exactly. It's the conversation between Black Widow and Loki in Avengers when he's caged up. And then as they're talking, it's a B-roll of moments of Black Widow throughout the years playing. And I'm like, goosebumps. This is so good. They need to play that before like the movies in theaters. That'd be so awesome. Like instead of trailers, play that. Boom, we're off. We're good to go. Thomas, you're back. What have you been watching, man?
I'm back. I also watched The Legends, and I forgot how much they can pack into like 8 minutes. Because I'm watching and like, oh man, and like they're only going to show this one scene. They're not even going to touch this. They're not going to touch that. And then we go through it, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. As we go along, it just keeps getting better and better. The way they cut the B-roll in, it was beautiful, adding a lot more depth. And most intriguing to me is the way it ends, which is, Civil War going up, and then it literally is like, you'll be on the run. I know. And then it looks like footage from Black Widow right away. So it sounds like because of this Legends, we might jump right into
those immediate moments after Civil War where she's, being hunted by good old everyone's favorite Thunderbolt, Thaddeus Ross. So I've been watching that, and I also sat down last night. Well, I watched Rise of Skywalker, but it was more of putting it on while
the best sequel. The best sequel.
While I did work. I didn't watch anything until like till mostly when Lando shows up. Everything before that was kind of just listening. And then I also watched last night Monsters at Work. Talk about picking up where it left off.
Yeah.
It starts with like a scene that happens at the same exact time, parallel with the ending of Monsters Inc. And then it goes in there and you find out right away, boom. Oh, we are like moments after Monsters Inc. And it just picks up right where it left off. And it's all about the transition from scarer to jokester. I watched one of the 2 episodes. Love it.
I really want to get into that. I love Monsters Inc.
I watched the trailer last night scrolling through Disney Plus. Also watched the Simpsons Loki MCU special. It's not a whole episode. I thought it was a whole episode, but it's literally like 6 minutes long.
It's a short.
But I watched the trailer. Haven't seen Monsters at Work yet, but the trailer, it hooked me. I love Pixar and I love Monsters Inc., but I haven't gotten the chance to watch it, but I really want to watch. I think I'll let a couple of them stack up and just burn through them all.
I kind of want to watch Monsters Inc., which I haven't watched in my Pixar rewatch. Watch that and then dive right into that, because the way you just described it, Tom, it seems like the best way to do it.
I think so, man. I didn't know when it was going to start. I don't even think I saw the trailer.
Shout out to Jack Hughes, friend of the show, in the comments saying, Klein, tell David to watch Rebels and say that Spider-Man 2 isn't the best live-action Spider-Man movie. Thank you, Jack, for nothing.
David, you haven't watched Rebels?
You haven't watched Rebels?
Oh my God, David. You're missing out on some of the best Star Wars storytelling ever.
Why did we open up this can of worms?
Also, I cannot believe you have seen. It's not like you've not seen the other Spider-Man movies, but I cannot believe your Spider-Man 2 opinion. Like I can't. You've seen Into the Spider-Verse, and you can't, and you're oh my God, like Spider-Verse isn't just one of the best Spider-Man movies ever. It's one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah,
I hear you.
But support this.
But Spider-Man 2, oh no, Dr. Octopus is gonna throw a car through a cafe window. Oh no.
Spider-Man 2.
Now he's questioning his his powers aren't working. He's gonna throw a suit in the garbage can. Oh look, it's that comic. It's the panel from the comics. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It's so good.
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm surprised by the Spider-Man 2 slander.
I love Spider-Man 2. It's just like
it's not like, the best.
It's not the best. I don't know. It's all pizza. It's all delicious. But why have Domino's? We can have a fresh baked delicious pie.
My favorite pie is still Spider-Man 2, man. I'm sticking with it.
My favorite pie is all the pies together into the Spider-Verse. And I could debate so many ways that it's the greatest comic book movie of all time. But David, we've been here before, so we'll let this
well-worn territory.
Yeah, we'll let this bit die, but shout out Jack. Thank you for pointing that out, because I did not know Klein was also
Jack is one of the best.
Rebellion.
Jack is one of the best. Jack is one of the best human beings. I've talked to him about Rebels all the time. He's a wonderful man.
Yes. David does not understand the joys of
life.
What do you have against animation, David?
Yeah, David.
I think that might be the constant variable.
Hates Spider-Verse. Hates Star Wars Rebels.
Hates Spider-Verse because it isn't my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Loves Monsters Inc., but God forbid it be Star Wars.
I love Pixar. Pixar is my favorite.
Maybe you're just a big Billy Crystal guy.
Maybe.
I mean,
I do love Billy Crystal. Very good.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a very brief ad break, and then we're going to come back. I got to find my glasses because my eyes are on fire. And don't turn that dial. Like we have dials on the internet.
J. Bauer Art has the graphic design skills you need to develop your next logo and at an affordable price. But he's not just a one-trick pony. Follow J. Bauer Art on social media to interact during live paintings and see all of his previous artwork, which you can buy exclusively at jbauerartshop.com. Not only is he an artist, this beautiful son of a blue brings you the Back Talk with Bauer podcast every week with unique guests. And every month he hosts a special Back Talk with Friends episode that can only be described as chaotic and hilarious. Need a video intro or commercial? J. Bauer Art has you covered. For all of this and more, follow J. Bauer Art on social media. That's JBAUERART. Check out jbauerart.com for a full portfolio and jbauerartshop.com to buy that special painting for you and your loved ones.
And we are back. Welcome. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have my good part here built up, but you come here for one reason only. It's not my ugly mug. It's that beautiful Clark Kent doppelganger to my right. That is a world famous journalist. He brings the news. He brings spicy webs. He works at the Dis Insider. He works at the Direct. He brings us all the new information we need from across the multiverse. You know what time it is. What, the news? That's right.
Very quick. Updated with the news. I noticed, Thomas.
Yeah. I did.
Very quick with the news this week.
Fuck.
What If trailer dropped randomly in a day, in a world, in a week, when there are two MCU projects coming out days apart from each other, literally for people going on Thursday night, maybe not Klein, Loki on Wednesday, and then Black Widow on Thursday. I mean, one of the biggest MCU weeks of all time. Boom, suddenly a What If trailer drops. The official What If trailer, a release date of August 11th. They are not dropping all at once like Star Wars Visions, like me, you, and JR speculated last time. They will be dropping every Wednesday. So same thing as Loki, which now, I'm just not thinking about this. It should point us in the direction of when we might see Hawkeye or Miss Marvel. I'm pretty sure Hawkeye is going to come out first. Like when we might see those come out, because they probably won't overlap on that Wednesday date. But yeah, I think it's 10 episodes over 10 weeks starting August 11th. This trailer is awesome. Thomas, you haven't even seen it yet, and I'm so excited to check it out.
Just be ready for not RDJ. Like, just be ready for a different sounding Tony Stark. It was took me aback a little bit.
It took me aback a little too. I love the opening scene though, but yeah, I'm not
part of the Twitter mob that's angry at Disney. Is like, you said all the actors were going to be there, but
and they did not say that. That's not true.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly. So people can relax.
Yeah, peace. I love peace. I'd be out of a job with peace.
Definitely not Robert Downey Jr. right there. I love they started from the beginning of the MCU. And
and the reveal here is so good. Just like it's almost shot for shot Iron Man, and then it's like, oh wait, no, we're somewhere else.
Hello.
Time. Reality.
Is that the Ancient One talking?
Yes.
That's what
Changeable.
Ooh.
Now that's the actual shot. And that's the What If shot. Yeah, boy.
That's the question, isn't it?
Of course, Chadwick Boseman's last performance in the MCU. I think maybe last performance ever.
Which I have seen some people, like, none of the voice actors sound. Is it just me? They don't sound right. Like, it doesn't sound like the actors.
Really?
Don't understand. Not me. I get it.
Yeah, like that sounds like a Chris Hemsworth like impersonator. I don't know why.
It's most likely due to the way voice
That
comes
sounds
through the
like
microphone.
Haley Atwell.
Oh yeah, that's Haley Atwell for sure. But yeah, I've seen it going around from a couple of people going, are we sure that these are the actors? And they are. They've said they are, but
Cannot, will not interfere.
Like Jeffrey Wright.
I guess I have to freestyle then.
yeah, we don't get enough Jeffrey Wright in our
Jeffrey
lives.
Wright is gonna be Gordon and the Watcher. What a guy.
I can't wait for the Batman. He's yeah.
Jeffrey
Wright can do no wrong.
I just watched that trailer the other day. So good.
Is that some kind of catchphrase?
That's not like Chadwick Boseman.
You had me worried for a second. Journey to face the unknown and ponder the question.
That voice.
He's perfect for it. He's perfect. I was talking over the part where Spider-Man's in it, which
The first time I watched it, I didn't even see Spider-Man, and then I saw his photo going around. I'm like, wait a second,
I lost my mind.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that was a head in a jar.
It is a head in a jar. Do we know whose head that is, though?
That looks like Paul Rudd to me.
That looks like Paul Rudd to you, so Ant-Man's in a jar for some reason.
Yeah.
Par for the course.
Right? I mean, right? Exactly.
Jar for the course.
Because this looks like Vision next to him, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, it's definitely Vision.
Did I
let's
see
listen to the
somewhere
voice really
that
quick.
That's not Paul Bettany? Like, he's one of the other actors that isn't in this?
Mm.
Hey!
I don't know.
Sounds like
I
Paul
wonder-
Rudd. I'm trying to narrow it down. Nobody really has that exact octave in their voice on a regular basis. What are we going to say, David?
What character is it? Shoot. There's some character I was wondering if. Oh, Loki. I wonder if it's Hiddleston. I wonder if Hiddleston actually did this. We don't hear him. We just see him.
He loves any chance he gets.
To be
He
Loki.
loves to be Loki. Yeah.
Why
he
is
was even in the
Hiddleston in
Simpsons
more
special.
things? Yeah.
I don't know. He was
Why
in
is Hiddleston and everything?
he was in Kong Skull Island.
He was
great in that.
Oh shit!
I wonder how long these episodes are going to be, and I wonder if I guess just each episode is completely different. I suppose. I wonder if there's any connection.
I
Just
don't
roughly
think
right?
just because animation costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't think they're any longer than like half an hour. I think maybe the
Yeah.
longest is like 35 minutes, but I don't think we get anything like these aren't going to be WandaVision or Loki sized episodes.
It's basically like, I mean, it's funny, like Star Wars Visions and Marvel What If are very similar, where they're both like kind of ish not canon. Like Star Wars is not canon.
They've confirmed Visions is not, like they're letting them do whatever they want,
which I love. I love the idea of that. And this is like such a, it's what if, like, right? Like if based on what the comics are, it's like basically not canon, doesn't really affect like the main 616 universe.
Yeah.
But I love that it's just, and here's one thing I wanted to say. If we thought Marvel wasn't just going in this crazy multiversal like direction, we're here. Between Loki, this trailer, and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange coming up, like it is full multiverse at this point. The fact that they've been teasing it in Far From Home and in WandaVision, and now it feels like it's finally here, I'm very happy about. But yeah, the zombie episode, I wonder what that. Yeah, Spider-Man, and is that Tom Holland? Is that supposed to be Tom Holland?
It looked when I first saw it, I was like, "That's Andrew Garfield," and then I sat back for a second and said, "Okay, that's not Andrew Garfield."
There was a report or something or a rumor that came out. I remember I wrote about it for the direct.com. It said something about Steve Rogers being Spider-Man.
Oh my god!
Yes,
and I think that might be what we're looking at. But then again,
I just got goosebumps, David.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
And
that is his hair coif.
Yeah, and another note: he's wearing the Disneyland Spider-Man suit, so very Disney interpretation here. Obviously, no Sony input probably at all because they don't need it because it's an animated TV show. Disney.
Well, there was talk for a long time that is Spidey going to be allowed to be in these shows? This is proof that yes. I mean, it's not like he's in Loki. It's not like he's in one of the mainline shows, but
I mean, I think
he's in it.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's like a live action like caveat in the contract, but I'm pretty sure Spider-Man without Sony's interference could have a Disney Plus live action show.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because I think live action may be a part of it, but yeah,
that poster is so cool.
On the poster, a few things I wanted to point out. Vision looks like he's inside of Ultron's suit, and Ultron's suit has like the Infinity Stones on the chest plate, I think. Also, Gamora looks like Thanos, and Spider-Man's wearing like a cloak.
Yeah, so I don't know, because that Spider-Man we saw, if that's Steve Rogers, I don't understand how they do that crossover as well as him being Doctor Strange. But this cloak is giving serious like Dr. Spidey vibes, or I don't know, Spider Strange. But yeah, like it's
J.R. Bradford from the comments says, what if Klein Felt doesn't like the Snyder Cut? The world would crumble.
We don't live in. We'd have to. That'd be the Nexus event right there.
Ooh, that's good. You know what? Way to segue us back on track. But before we go all the way, let's look at these pops because we were just talking about JRB here. We know he loves these pops. My favorite so far, obviously, it's King Thor, which appears to be a part of maybe the Avengers with. It looked to me like in that clip it was Thanos armor on Gamora, Chadwick Boseman as Star-Lord, and then Black Panther was hiding over there in the bottom left corner. I noticed in that shot with Party Thor over on the right. That's a team right there. If Killmonger is actually Black Panther there, and then if they're fighting Ultron because of the image here of Killmonger carrying good old Ultron's head, I'm here for it, man.
You gotta think they're gonna do more than one season of What If, right? Just keep coming up with ideas. If it's a hit, that is, I guess.
Well,
and I think it will be.
Yeah. I think a lot of people tune in for Chadwick's last performance too.
Definitely. I think these are going to, if I'm remembering correctly, they've already got 23 different ideas from the first Infinity Saga, on what they would do if they changed one thing and where it would go. And we know that this one's only 10 episodes long, so it seems like multiple seasons are
it's interesting to me. Yeah, it's interesting to me how in some of the What If episodes, it seems like they're changing just like one little thing that has butterfly effect, like T'Challa being Star-Lord and him being the one being abducted by Yondu, and then other ones where it's like there's just straight up zombies and the Guardians of the Galaxy are the event, like where there's like kind of some major changes. I'm curious, actually, the one that I'm most, I guess I don't know the most about and I don't know what to expect with the most is the Doctor Strange episode. I don't really know what's going on there outside of Strange seeming to be like, I don't know, kind of like working into the dark arts or something. I don't know. I'm curious by that one.
Yeah, Klein, what do you think? Do you think Doctor Strange is toying around with Dormammu and maybe he's a disciple of Dormammu based on the pops and what we've seen in the trailer?
Yeah, I think that's what they're leaning into. That's one of them because they've kind of come out and said like, oh, this one will be what if that, and this one will be what if that. That's one that we haven't really, I guess, heard a ton about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could honestly, is that where we maybe get Spider-Man if it's Doctor Strange,
New York,
evil, and then Spider-Man takes up the mantle of Doctor Strange, possibly. I don't know. It's and takes on Doctor Strange. I think that, and then I think that could naturally. I could see Disney thinking and Marvel thinking, okay, we'll get the idea of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange kind of living in the same burrow, essentially. And then prime that up for what's coming in December with No Way Home. Do we think any of this means anything for the MCU? Do you think anything from this series will affect anything else in the MCU, or is it going to be completely self-contained?
I love that question.
I think it's a great question too. And my answer is I don't think it's going to have much of an effect, but I think it sets up fun Easter eggs.
I did see a theory somewhere, and this is going to tie in with Loki, that the Watcher is somehow involved in the TVA, and that this will be the Watcher telling stories, but like the character of the Watcher and Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher is something that will exist in the MCU Prime, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah. I could see
people
the
be
Watcher
very upset because they want Kang, but he could be somehow tangentially involved in it. Like, I've seen that theory going around, because it does seem like getting, I don't know, someone like Jeffrey Wright, who isn't a lister, but getting him into the MCU and keeping him around for a while, I think could be a valuable asset to them.
Yeah. Matt Rimke from the Direct Podcast, friend of the show, asking, big bad of What If, talking about Doctor Strange. And I wonder, I don't know if he meant to ask it like this, but I wonder if he's meaning if maybe Strange crosses, maybe crosses through the different multiverses. Because it is weird that like maybe Strange doesn't have one episode, but he pops up here and there. We know in in live action MCU, in the live action Multiverse of Madness, he will be doing something along the lines of putting the multiverse back together and traveling through time like this. Maybe this is essentially what Strange would be doing in the Multiverse of Madness if he was working with Dormammu.
Oh, I like that. That's a good. I don't know. That's a good. And do I think anything from What If will like impact the MCU? I actually, spoiler alert for later with Loki, I do. I don't know why, but with What If coming out and ending well before Spider-Man comes out, I believe it's 2 months by a week. It seems as though they're going to do some stuff in this, which will then excite the fans in the same way Loki has, which once they get past a specific point in time and space, aka Multiverse of Madness, anything we've seen is going to be fair game, I think. Because, I mean, the future is so question marked, with Multiverse of Madness coming up, what's happening in Spider-Man, what's Loki gonna, like, the results from Loki's, final episode, what's that gonna have on the MCU? I think as we go out through this year, it's going to slowly trickle into our brains what they are doing.
I just don't know how they go from that. I don't know how they go
thoughts on the What If of it all.
Yeah, I don't know how they go from like the multiversal side of things and then like rein it back in to like down the road we're getting a Fantastic Four movie, and that's gonna, like, Fantastic Four on the grand scale of the Marvel universe is fairly small, or smallish. Like, I don't know. I can see What If having effects elsewhere, but I don't know if it will necessarily. I think I can also see Disney going, yeah, this is a locked box.
Transitioning into Loki, there's one thing before we get to the plot where I hope the finale of Loki gives us a greater sense of the multiverse and the sacred timeline and timelines in general, where we just have an easier understanding of it. I feel like there is, between Endgame and now Loki, there's been a lot of like confusion, and I don't know about a lot of confusion, but it's like sometimes hard to keep up with how this all works. And I hope they simplify it a little bit by the end of it, just so more people, and it's easy to wrap our heads around like how they're building out the multiverse and how it works. Because right now with Loki, we don't even know, because of the TVA's questionable status, like, did the sacred timeline ever exist? Is that even true? Has there been a multiverse this whole time? Like, how far do the lies go? And we need answers, I think, at the end of this series to kind of like be able to move forward and learn more about the multiverse. And I think we will. But yeah, I'm ready to dive into Loki episode 5. You guys are.
Let's go. Let's swim in that Loki muck.
All right.
I'm sorry. That was awful.
Hey.
Wow.
A few Lokis got a bit dirty this episode. I love this episode. I'm not going to lie. I know some people were more critical of it. Some people have been more critical of the show, I think, in general than I have been. I've enjoyed almost every second of it. I even enjoyed episode 3, which is a bold statement, apparently. Here's the plot of episode 5, Journey into Mystery. Love the name because that sets up perfectly into the finale. Starting back at the TVA, it's basically picks up right where last episode leaves off, a dramatic shot of the beheaded timekeeper that left everyone gasping in episode 4. Now on to the Void. We don't know it's the Void at that point, but first Easter egg of the day, the Sanctum Sanctorum, Doctor Strange's little hideout, is shown, a version of it is shown while you pan forward or kind of push forward in the shot through the Void. As we keep pushing, is it called the Kang Tower? Quang Tower? Enterprises? Anyone? I don't know. I've only Kang? Just Kang? King. Sorry. King Enterprises, the tower. Obviously, that's a big Easter egg and a possible setup for Kang if he does show up, because Nathaniel Richards is the one who runs King Enterprises. So there's that. That was a cool moment because that was a take on the Avengers Tower, and a lot of us knew that the Avengers Tower was like in that one shot of the trailer, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a desolate, like a destroyed New York. Turns out it's just kind of the Void, and there's a version of the tower there from a different, I guess, universe or timeline, which is kind of one of the same thing in the MCU. Picks up where the mid-credit scene left off. Loki gets up confused. It's funny, he asks, like, what's going on? Where am I? And classic Loki, Richard D. Grant, who's one of my favorite characters. What a hot hand. What just a hot streak. Just Richard D. Grant comes into the MCU for 5 minutes, knocks down 10 threes, and then leaves and never returns.
Wearing what might be one of the most hilarious costumes in MCU history, and he's intimidating wearing this unitard. Like it is straight up 70s comics Loki. Like I love it. It's hilarious, and he's so
Richard
good.
E. Heatcheck Grant. Love that guy. He says, "This is the Void, that's Eliath, and we're his lunch." Come on. Title card, Loki, the best title card so far in any of these shows. The changing, and the beautiful music. I love it. Back to the TVA. Renslayer denies knowing who runs the TVA, which came as a bit of a surprise to me because later we find out that that's true. Renslayer knows a little less than I thought she would. And I wrote here that later we find out she doesn't actually know who started the TVA, which I'm like, wow, okay, like this is a different direction than I thought we were going. Where I thought Renslayer was a bit more in on it, but this could be more of the origin of maybe Renslayer and Kang if they go that direction. Back to the plot, Renslayer tried to earn Sylvie's trust and work together. It's like, yeah, there's no way this is actually gonna last. And like when it was happening on screen, I'm like, yeah, right. Back to the Void. The Lokis explain how they don't die. Hiddleston suddenly is like, what the hell's going on? He just stops in his tracks. He's like, no more. I'm not following you guys. Tell me what's happening. And the fact that he doesn't know how long it's been since he left Avengers 1, the Battle of New York, is hilarious to me. Kid Loki explains to Loki what the Void is, and that Eliath is this major threat that is killing everyone else, but Loki survives. So there's a lot of Loki still hanging around. Classic Loki calls the Void a shark tank, which I loved that metaphor. This is where we get a good shot and kind of moment with alligator Loki when he's like, it's not an alligator tank. Alligator Loki is going to sell like gangbusters. I already can't wait for a toy or some sort of like plush doll.
The MVP of the episode. Like, Alligator Loki had some of the best moments where the camera would just cut and he would give like the Jim Halpert look at the camera, but it's valid. Like, it was so good. It was so good. He was hilarious. I loved it. At first, I thought, why does Kid Loki have a pet alligator? And then you see the little horns on him, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god.
I love it. And Hiddleston being like, that's a Loki too? Like, and he's like, I'm not even that surprised, you know?
Kevin Feige, you're listening, give us that movie. I want to know how this alligator Loki happened. I want to know everything about him.
Yes, I do too, and I have a theory that it's going to tie into our an Easter egg later on.
Ooh.
Ribbit.
J.R. Bradford in the comments says that he would die for Alligator Loki. Love that. There's no way out of the Void, just survival. And Kid Loki's Nexus event was that he killed Thor, which is awesome.
Yeah. Rock and roll.
So cool. Love
Probably
it.
did it to Immigrant Song.
That was a good. That was good. I had to give you props for that one.
Another
Fine.
Easter
Hell
egg.
See
yeah.
you guys later.
Giant yellow jacket helmet, which is very cool. And some people have speculated that's like, hey, in Ant-Man, you see him kind of like dust away, or not dust. I guess that's a bad word to say in the MCU, but kind of like sparkle away, to kind of nothingness. What do they say in the movie? What do they call it when you're perpetually getting smaller? I think it's like,
I don't remember.
I don't think
phasing, is it? No.
No, that was from
no.
the second one.
like the
Yeah.
quantum zone, but it's not exactly what they say.
The quantum realm.
I think by then they're not.
But it's the act of getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They have a word for it.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Help us out in the comments,
Yes, Matt, JR, Terry, help. Of course,
please.
we got the Thanos copter. Oh, great Easter egg. James Gunn's been asking for it for 6 years. They finally gave it to us. I would love to have seen Thanos actually in one of those. Maybe in a what if story someday. That'd be really cool.
What's that what if story going to be? What if Thanos had a helicopter? Like
That's all I need. Sign me up. Josh Brolin will take that paycheck. Loki crew heads to the bunker. Classic Loki uses his magic to open it up. We get the shot of Throg, absolute legend, super cool cameo. I wrote an article about it on thedirect.com. Go check it out, kind of diving into who Throg is. And
before we go too far,
yeah, sure.
I would love it if Alligator Loki and Throg somehow ended up either in or from the same universe, because think about it, they're both similar, because one's a frog, one's an alligator, reptilian, amphibian, same, but different. So he would be adopted into the frog.
The Pet Avengers.
Frog Asgard. Thank you, David.
Oh
you
my
knew
gosh.
I was going to the Pet Avengers, and I need it. And I don't remember who Captain America is in it, but it needs to be a beautiful golden retriever.
Yeah, I was going to say like a beagle or something.
Oh my god.
That'd be awesome. I'd take an animated Pet Avengers series, or even live action. Hey, just CGI it up. Back to the
what they did
TVA.
here.
Yeah, back to the TVA. Renslayer and Sylvie ask Miss Minutes to pull up all the info on the beginning and end of time. Miss Minutes is having a hard time pulling it up. It's this whole long kind of thing. She's like, yeah, sure. Sylvie figures out that you need to get past the void in order to find the founder of the TVA, because it's like he's hiding out. She's like, he's hiding out there. There's a void there for a reason. If you can just get beyond the void, we can find whoever created all of this. They talk about this void spaceship. Renslayer's like, oh, the void spaceship. And then they pull up the Miss Minutes is looking for it. It's taking a little time. Sylvie's like, this is, are you bullshitting me or what? And then finally, boom, the TVA Minutemen walk in, and Renslayer is a liar.
Liar!
Thank you. We saw it coming from the very beginning. Renslayer being this, two-faced whatever relationship with kind of agreement with her and Sylvie, and it's a weak one. I'm not gonna lie.
Can I say something here? I haven't gotten to talk about this at all, but the TVA set design is some of the best I think I've seen in the MCU. Like it is, I love this whole vibe. I love Miss Minutes looking like she's from the future, but also like she's from the past. Her cycling through the file folders is hilarious. Like going subatomic is the answer to that question we were looking for.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Captain.
It feels so like it. I mean, Twilight Zone didn't really ever have anything similar to this, but it feels Twilight Zone to me for some weird reason, and I dig it. I love it. It's so good.
I love it too. I think it should win awards. I think this show should win a few. What is it? Emmys for television.
Yeah.
All right, it's going back to the TVA. Sylvie prunes herself. Baller move. Love it. Super on character move from Sylvie right there. Back to the void. So now Sylvie's going to end up in the void. Back to the void bunker. Boastful Loki says he killed Captain America, Iron Man, and got all 6 Infinity Stones.
Liar!
Exactly. Alligator Loki's does like the look like, nah. That's a lie. Which is a great moment.
And
at this point, is he sitting in the kiddie pool?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah, and he's just his head's looking out over it. It's like,
So good.
I love it because it's like alligator growling, and Richard E. Grant's like, that's alligator for growling and liar.
Yeah. And then it's funny because then boastful Loki says that his Nexus event, the alligator Loki's Nexus event, was eating the wrong neighbor's cat. Perfect.
which I didn't know they had cats in Asgard, but it's good to know.
Yeah.
That's a good thought. I guess so. Where was I? So classic Loki. This is the best Nexus event, and classic Loki is just awesome. So it's like the same exact scene, I guess they kind of explained from Infinity War, but our classic Loki, Richard E. Grant, he faked his death against Thanos, projected him, like had a projection so convincible that it even tricked him, and then was able to kind of just float off like debris and go in hiding like old Ben Kenobi for a millennia. And then finally, he misses his brother Thor. He wonders if Thor misses him. And when he just takes a few steps towards leaving the planet, boom, the TVA show up because he's supposed to die in Infinity War. Hiding out was fine, but when he just tries to kind of go off course, even though it's years and years later, the TVA show up.
Absolute bummer.
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad, especially when you think about probably how long he was on that planet. Thinking about like how old like that Loki looks compared to like our Loki. He's been around for like 1,000 or so years. This is a great moment when classic Loki explains that they're not the god of mischief, but they're the god of outcasts. How there's so many of them, which is I think a part of the bigger theme of this story of Loki, of like how there shouldn't be, like with Sylvie and all this, like there shouldn't just be this one sacred timeline. Like all these people of the different timelines and universes should be able to live out their lives and do what they want to do without having to follow some sort of sacred code. Which is, a bit of a metaphor for real life, I suppose. Loki wants to kill Goliath. The other's like, ha, you're so funny. You can't kill Goliath. Loki goes to leave the bunker. I love this moment. And President Loki, or Election Loki, whatever you want to say, I'll call him President Loki, and several other goofy-looking Lokis are there waiting for him. Beautiful shot of all of them looking in. I love the fact that we finally got a Hiddleston variant, which I've been waiting for. It's like, yes, finally Hiddleston as another version. And then, yes.
That actually sets up, the identical variants, because to this point, we've only seen images of these Hiddleston-faced Lokis. And we also saw one of those Lokis that they pruned in this episode, if you look hard enough, which was great. But it sets up the identical variant. So we've got J. Jonah Jameson in the MCU, and we've got Vulture in the Morbius movie. So now it can be parallel universes, and you have the same people looking the exact same across them, which until now was not there. So we worked Spider-Man into this. How did we do that?
Did anyone find this President Loki reveal like? It was exciting when it happened, but looking at the whole episode, seeing President Loki in the trailers and that sort of thing, you got the idea that, this is Tom Hiddleston, like Loki Prime, we'll call him, as president. And I just found that it felt very throwaway. Like they teased it and then it just kind of happened and was done. I thought we were going to get a lot more, even if it was a variant. But I mean, who knows? There's another episode. I doubt he comes back though, and Marvel teases us with stuff like that all the time. But I thought it was going to be way more of like, we're going to get an episode where he's President Loki for the whole episode, and him and Mobius are doing whatever.
No, I think it's a valid point. I expected President Loki to have more of a role, but I was pleasantly surprised as to how they handled it. That it was fun. It was a variant. He gets his hand eaten off by alligator Loki. It was all for a laugh, and I think they used it in marketing more than actually in the show, right?
Yeah. That's what I mean, in the trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah, they used it to because that's pulled right from the comics, that outfit.
Him losing his hand, one of the most violent things I've seen in the MCU. Like there was blood came out. I thought, he lost his hand. Haha, it's a kid's show. No one's gonna there's going to be nothing there, but it was brutal, and you could see the stub. Like it was like, pretty gross.
Yeah. I will say, like, it's a good point, and I had the thought where it's like, wow, that was really it. But I the way in the scene where there's so many other Lokis in the moment, I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, there's so much more to, like, you can nitpick anything, but there's so much to love about this episode and this show as a whole that, like, it's just, from the second it started in episode 1, I've just been along for the ride. I'm like, okay, just take me wherever you want to take me. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. All right. Moving forward here with the plot a little bit. Sylvie wakes up in an abandoned school bus, runs into the Pizza Planet car. Not exactly, but kind of, that Mobius, of course, is behind, driving. They escape. Boastful Loki back at the bunker betrays Kid Loki. President Loki betrays Boastful Loki. Loki pirates group betray President Loki. Alligator Loki bites off President Loki's hand, and he shrieks. And that was a great scene. It was such a chaotic Loki scene, and I think the point was to show, like, how silly Loki is without kind of the character development that our Hiddleston Loki's gone through, where it's like, of course they're all betraying each other and stabbing each other in the back. And I think it's kind of like there to remind us and show us that that's what Loki normally does. I like that. You wrote this in, Thomas? The
Easter egg? Yeah, it's definitely a callback to two things, actually. It's a callback to Thor the Dark World, retroactively getting better every year. And a callback to Empire Strikes Back, where Luke gets his hand cut off, and then not too long after, he's there shrieking, "No! No!" Which I found to be just hilarious. Because it wasn't like it was a very blood curdling shriek that Hiddleston gave right there. Probably underrated hit of the episode. Top moment.
Moving forward, this big old Loki fight breaks out because now everyone's betraying each other, and classic Loki finally makes a portal himself. Very cool move. And then Loki, classic Loki, Kid Loki, and Alligator Loki, because Boastful Loki is now out of their little team. He's out of the picture because he betrayed them. Escape. And, Thomas added in that the Sakaar Tower was behind Loki. I missed that.
Yes. It had, I don't know what his name. I'm trying to think. Man-Thing, I do believe, is the MCU's. There's Marvel's version and Swamp Thing. Yeah. So it was, I saw the tendrils of Man-Thing, and I was like, let me see. So I freeze frame everything for, 45 minutes trying to make sure it was exact.
Yeah. Cool. Skipping ahead a little bit, it's kind of like this is the point where everyone's heading towards Alioth, and then Loki and Sylvie are on the same page as to how to get to the creator. They both kind of turn around, like the Mobius turns around, and then our little group of Lokis heading towards there, and they ended up meeting up. This is when we get the Philadelphia Experiment Easter egg, which is hilarious, and I didn't even know of before this movie or this show, and I'm like, what's going on right now? and then I look, because you could tell it was like, that wasn't random. Like they were playing with something right there. And the Philadelphia Experiment, it's an alleged military experiment. And it's this Navy destroyer that was claimed to have been rendered invisible or cloaked to enemy devices. It was widely understood to be a hoax. The U.S. Navy maintains that no such experiment was ever conducted, and that the details of the story contradict well-established facts. So, a funny other Easter egg. What was the one with the guy jumping out of the plane? A similar
DB Cooper.
Yeah, DB Cooper.
That was like kind of a similar kind of like funny meta Easter egg there. So that was fun. And in this universe, everyone on the Philadelphia Experiment gets eaten up by the Void. Our heroes finally meet up. Loki introduces all the other Lokis to Mobius and Sylvie. Sylvie has the idea to enchant the Alioth, which is a brilliant idea. And I was like, oh, that's how they're going to do it. Okay, that makes sense. Back to the TVA now. B-15 is locked up. Also, quick aside, I love B-15 now. She seemed like such a normal, generic, like bully character at the beginning of this show, and she's just every time she comes up, like, oh yeah, let's go. Like she's on our side. B-15 speaking facts to Renslayer, and Renslayer just remains allegiant to the TVA, despite what I feel like. I think Renslayer like knows something weird's going on. She doesn't know everything happening, but she's just allegiant to her cause. She's just blindly allegiant to the TVA, and she's going to keep fighting for what they believe in, the sacred timeline, I suppose. B-15 sees through Renslayer, says that she wants to find the person behind the TVA, and it's an awesome moment where it's like they're talking about Sylvie, and B-15 tells Renslayer, "You only want it, she needs it." And it's like, yes, let's go. Renslayer asks for all the files at the beginning of the TVA, wants to find them. So that's where I was a bit surprised at this moment, where Renslayer really truly does not know what's happening. She's just being allegiant to the TVA, following orders, following protocol, sticking to the status quo, but is curious as to who the founder is, because she wants to find them too. She wants to find who founded it as well, but there's no way she's going to beat Sylvie and Loki. But that is part of her goal, and I can't wait to see how that continues on when Mobius gets back to the TVA next episode.
Something that I didn't come up with, but my girlfriend who was sitting on the couch beside me asked me, is what she wants to know, and what I think I want to know now, is why her? Why was she chosen to be kind of this front-facing like assistant manager, I guess? Like, she doesn't have the answers, but she can help you. Why did they pick her? What's her story? I mean, maybe it's just a random pick, like it seems like some of these other people. I mean, they're all variants, but maybe it's just a random pull their name out of the hat sort of thing.
Right.
But it feels like there's something there, or maybe she does know something that she's not letting on, or that she isn't revealing to the audience.
And to add on to that is, we saw in the flashback of Sylvie getting captured that she was just like a Minuteman then. She wasn't like the main judge, so she was promoted at some point. And I think I said it on this show at one point where I'm like, with the TVA kind of acting out of time, why would there even be a need to kind of like promote people up to a
exactly,
So it's like, I think exactly right. There is a specific reason why she was chosen, and that could lead to that infatuation Kang has with Renslayer, if that's the direction they end up going here. At this point, Mobius, Classic Loki, and Kid Loki are chatting. I think Alligator Loki is there as well. It's cool though. I believe actually up here, Matt threw in, how do you know he is a Loki? What if he is lying? Which would lean toward him being a Loki even more. But it is the whole thing with you guys. It is the game within the game, and I respect that. I love the Mobius Loki relationship, the mutual respect. And it's a funny moment where it's like, this alligator could really just be some random alligator, but he's saying he's Loki, so we believe him.
Do we get, you mentioned Mobius, do we get Mobius on a jet ski? We have one more episode, but does it happen? So. Does it happen?
Imagine if it's like, all right, finale ends, cut to credits, and it's just little like postcard like photos of him on a jet ski. That'd be great.
I guess that'll do.
It's like Owen Wilson's like head like photoshopped onto like some like
we haven't gotten an Owen Wilson wow yet, which
apparently
surprises the hell out of me. I know apparently it's not in there, but I thought for sure we'd get at least one. Like if I'd put money on it, I would have said we would have gotten at least one.
We've got one more episode.
Yeah. Do we know how long it is?
No, I don't know the run. Okay. I don't know the run time. No. I imagine around 50 minutes. It's kind of been like the status quo. This is when Loki and Sylvie are having a quiet moment. Weird romance, in my opinion, where it's like, okay. But I'm hoping it turns out to some sort of self-actualized friendship and less of this like romance.
I kind of like it because it's like the only person perfect for Loki is Loki. Like it makes total sense with his like it makes more sense with his character than I ever thought anything like that would. Like it's some weird like, I don't know. It's kind of, when you think about it, it's kind of gross. Like it's a little disgusting, but it's the only perfect person for Loki is Loki.
Yeah, I mean it is kind of hard to, I guess, kind of come to terms with. But I'm curious where they really end, like where these two characters end up. I wouldn't be surprised if Sylvie bites the dust this next episode.
I think she's gone. I think she's dead. I want her to stick around. I think that actress is phenomenal, but
especially I think this episode when they're having that quiet moment when Loki's like, after all this, maybe us two could figure it out. And to me, that's set up for us being kind of setting us up to be heartbroken in the end. Because we've seen the MCU do that time and time again.
We're going to get there in a second, though.
Yeah. Sylvie says once the TVA is gone, there may be a timeline for Loki to rule, which I thought was some foreshadowing for maybe the King Loki that's going to come into this next episode, possibly. Yeah, okay, I just said that. Oh, Thomas, you had an Easter egg in here. The Dark Aster Ronin ship. I didn't see that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, it's right. It's in the dust, kind of with one side of it dug into the dirt.
Mm-hmm. It's cool. Right there as they're all standing over watching Eliath do his thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, I want to go look for that now. Okay, Kid Loki gives Loki his dagger. Cool little moment, kind of pulling it out. I love Kid Loki. That guy's. I hope they keep Jack Veal in, and now I'm hoping they lead to that Young Avengers team that might be forming because that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
I've seen him in other stuff. I just forget where. And so immediately when I saw him, I was like, oh, I recognize that. I recognize that I like him, but I totally have no idea where I've seen him before.
Yeah, I don't know either. He's a good actor though, because it's hit or miss with those kid actors. You know, I like him. He doesn't seem that much of a kid to me.
No, I don't know. He's probably in real life. He's probably like 18, 17 maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
It looks like. Wait, I'm checking his IMDb
You teach
page.
kids all day, David. You should know.
Yeah, David, don't they all look the same? I think I just saw 9, but that doesn't make any sense.
There's no way he's 9 years old. If he's 9 years old, like time means nothing to me anymore.
He's 14 years old.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny, this little IMDb thing. Not IMDb, it's some other website. It's like he's a kid entertainer whose age can reach between 12 and 15 years old. Because that's like how actors go. I have a friend who's in acting where it's like he's this, whatever, he's 22 now, but he can play like 15 to 21. Like, you know what I mean? He definitely pulls it off though. I love him a lot.
I like the Loki logo he has. It's a little different. It's not quite as round. It's not quite as rounded and bubbly as kind of the Loki stuff we've seen. It's very angular. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I believe it's straight from the comics.
Yeah, it looks it might be straight from Norse mythology, honestly. Like it looks a lot more runic than some of the other like Loki iconography we've seen.
Yeah, that's a good pull. I think you might be right on that. Okay, so it's weird. It's kind of a weird moment where it's like, okay, later, and like Kid Loki, Classic Loki, and Alligator Loki just all kind of dip and are like, yeah, we're gonna keep surviving. Good luck. Our journey is just to survive. That's it. For now. Mobius heads back to the TVA to burn it to the ground. Loki hugs Mobius. Yeah.
Tears. When he left, oh man. Do you think they reunite at all? Like, is that it for the two of them?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if we're gonna see him again. I hope we do, but we'll see.
I think we'll see him again. It just won't be with Tom Hiddleston.
That's what I'm saying. Them together again. Yeah.
Like the chemistry between the two of them. I wish we had gotten more of it. I think we're coming up in the last episode. I think we will get less of the two of them together on screen than we initially thought we were going to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame.
Bummer.
Yeah. It was really episode what? It was episode 1, 2, not so much 4. What was happening in 4?
Everything.
Oh, no, it wasn't 4. Yeah, 4.
4, there was a little bit, yeah.
4 and 5, a little bit in 5, but yeah, episode 2 really set it all up. So time for Loki and Sylvie to approach Eliath. Oh, the Living Tribunal Easter egg, which I missed, but is a big one. Thomas.
Yes. Everyone knows who the Living Tribunal is. I mean, you don't. But it's set there. That's actually where the start of Eliath begins. It starts coming down and it creeps over the Living Tribunal, and that's when Loki whips out Flaming Dagger, and I believe we're at that point where he's the distraction.
Exactly. Oh, there's a helicarrier in the background. I didn't know that either.
Yes, there's a helicarrier. I don't remember the exact spot, but it's somewhere in this sequence.
Jennifer Marie points out a Loki line that I loved. Thanks for the spark. Super cool. Love that line from Owen Wilson. Honestly, one of Owen Wilson's best I think, like performances and characters.
And his least Owen Wilson's performance that I've seen in forever.
That's
like
what
there
I
was
like about it.
There was a
Yeah.
lot of like nuance to him, which I mean, Owen Wilson has levels. There's Lightning McQueen Owen Wilson, and there's like Woody Allen art film Owen Wilson. But but he like I really liked. I wasn't. Oh, that's Owen Wilson. Like I knew it was Owen Wilson, but he played a character which he doesn't do a ton.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him in this.
I got serious like X-Files, like Scully and Mulder vibes from him. Like I really liked. I liked the way that they took pieces of detectives and that kind of thing and built this character of him. Yeah. And I like what they did with him for sure.
He's always so calm, and then when he gets upset, it's just like he just portrays it really well. I love his temperament. The backhandedness of some of the stuff. Like he'd have these little jokes or little quips, and sometimes they would just cut, and you he'd say something to Loki, and you could tell in Loki's eyes that that's funny for the audience, but for Tom Hiddleston, like that hurt, like that cut a little deep.
Okay, yeah, Jack in the comments really quick just pointed out when he's hugging Loki, looks at Sylvie and says, "You're my favorite."
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that screen grab going around Twitter for the last I guess 24 hours of just him going, "You're my favorite."
Oh yeah, that was only yesterday.
Yeah,
Friend of the show, Liam Crowley from the Direct Podcast says, "Renslayer equals still sus." Yeah. I agree.
Yep, lots of Wizard of Oz vibes going on with her.
Okay. Love this. My favorite part possibly is Alioth goes to eat Sylvie, and out of nowhere, Classic Loki comes out.
Yeah.
Starts projecting all of Asgard, lightning strikes, the whole shebang. It's like, whoa, this guy was practicing his craft on that remote planet for years, man. Like, this is crazy.
I think this is one of the best moments that we've gotten in these MCU TV shows. Like there was a couple jaw-dropping ones in WandaVision, and I guess it'd kind of be similar to this because she did a lot of that projecting kind of thing. And then there was moments of like this in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I think this tops everything we've seen so far, especially from like a budgetary standpoint. Like they didn't hold anything back here, whereas some of the other stuff we've seen in the MCU TV shows have come off a little bit like CWE, like a little cheaper than you can tell that like this is a TV show, and like you can tell that it's not they don't have the budget that say one of these movies would have.
I think Loki has a movie budget. It's insane.
Oh yeah,
like this whole show is like CGI, space. Yep. Like episode 3 was just like almost all CGI. It felt like. There were moments in episode 3 you could tell where they were walking, and you could tell that they were just on a small soundstage and were kind of just like cutting different angles of the same. Like it looked like they were kind of on a treadmill, and the world was kind of going past them. Right. Which it technically was if you're working on a soundstage, but it didn't look quite as convincing as some MCU stuff has. Yeah.
Like in this episode. It doesn't look as convincing as this episode.
Yeah, and when Classic Loki does the whole Asgard, it's
crazy.
I instantly, the first thing I thought was, is this like a top 10 MCU moment? Like, is this
wow?
I instantly in my mind was like, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in this universe, like just on screen. I thought it was so cool. It gave me weird Endgame Portal vibes for some reason. I think it was just the grand scale of it all. Because it just him standing there, and he's so tiny compared to just this massive projection.
Yeah. And it's such a great idea for him to just completely distract Goliath, all of Asgard, not just like a building, not just the castle, not just the Bifrost, but all of it. And it's like he has to turn then. Obviously, he gets his glorious purpose and goes out like a champ. What's up, Thomas?
Yeah, I was gonna say the thing that I wanted to point out the most is that line of a glorious purpose. He shits on it like the entire episode. He's like, "Oh, for what? Glorious power, glorious purpose." After the Loki battle royale, and the fact that he's like, "No, I'm not gonna leave here. I'm not gonna do this." But if you watch earlier in the episode when they're having that chat with Mobius, and Mobius says, all that thing that Matt posted in the comments. He's basically like, and I respect that. I respect the game, but then he tells classic Loki that it's never too late to change, and that moment is the real spark for him going, you know what, I can actually do this. So Mobius gave multiple Lokis those sparks, and that ends up leading to the point where he's the strong conviction of, we got to do this, we got to survive, only for at the very end sacrificing himself. Very un-Loki move, and the way he does it is essentially a spark for Hiddleston and Sylvie's character variants to come together.
Right. Yeah, I love this moment, man. I love classic Loki. I love how he has his one episode arc. Like, they got Richard E. Grant on set for like a few days, and that's it. And it's great, like great beginning, middle, and end to his story in just this one episode. I love getting the backstory on him, and then he goes out with glorious purpose. Sylvie realizes that she and Loki are going to both need to enchant it together, which I thought was super cool. And the fact that they're both the same person is like, yeah, like, so he's looking at Loki like, you can do this. We are the same. You can do this. You have to just unlock this power. It felt very video game like to me, like Loki, like if you're playing as Loki in this video game, after this level, you'd be like, unlocked, new ability, enchanting, and then you move on. I thought, for some reason, that's the first thing that popped in my head. Classic Loki realizes his glorious purpose and gets eaten by Alioth. Amazing. Sylvie and Loki successfully enchant Alioth. Really cool moment. This scene that is like 20 seconds, and them just kind of like fighting, holding hands together. And then finally the green, like, I guess kind of like smoke, or just like their green enchantment power kind of just, like, takes over Alioth, which I think is really cool. Finally, through the green mist opens a gateway to some sort of house or castle. Loki and Sylvie walk towards it, and roll credits, setting us up for episode 6, the finale, to find out who the true villain is, who's behind the TVA, who's in that castle. I gotta say, I really love this episode. I've loved this series overall.
Yeah,
I think it's been an absolute blast. I think there is a world in which I was filling out my, I was like looking at where I'm going to place it on my like personal MCU rankings. And it's fairly high. It's like top like 13 or 12 right now. And like, there is a scenario where, depending upon how they land this, it could go down a few notches or up a few notches. Like, kind of depending on like, if they really go full on Kang and set up like the next years of the MCU, it's like going to be a top maybe like 10 or 9 like project, because it's going to be so vital to the MCU. I wrote an article for the direct.com. Klein, I believe you actually edited it last night. The one about King Loki.
Oh, yeah. Dude, like, if you ask me about a specific article I edited, like, it's going to be tough. But yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wrote this feature about how there's been these stills, these shots from promotion of this decked out kind of like King Loki, as we'd call him. It's like Prime Loki, whatever you want to say, where it's like possibly that a Loki is behind it all, or I theorized in my article that he could be actually working at the hand of Kang, like kind of as not a disciple, but working with him, similar to maybe the Loki-Thanos relationship from 2012's Infinity War. Or
David, do you know how mad the internet is going to be if it's just Loki?
I know.
You think the Mephisto like whole thing was bad? Like, people are going to be angry because they have set this up completely.
I know, it's funny. People are comparing it to Mephisto, and I did too. It's like, this is this Mephisto 2.0, right? That's kind of the big question. Yeah, right. They've set up so much more in this that points to Kang. I feel like everything about it, I feel like screams Kang, and at the same time, I'm 50-50 if it's Kang or King Loki or a Loki, because I could see where the show's called Loki, and them just having a Loki in the end be behind it, or at least be like a part of it. I Personally, I think a really cool ending would be if it is a Loki and that he's working with Kang, and then it's a Kang setup where it's a Kang name drop, but we don't actually see Jonathan Majors. And then
do we maybe see him similar to how we saw Thanos at the end of Avengers, where it's post-credit, maybe we get a profile, like just a glimpse, and it like just maybe even a touch of blue skin, and it's just like, oh, like we know who that is.
Yeah, I think that'd be beautiful. I think that'd be perfect, especially because we know he's in Ant-Man 3, and like that's kind of the movie he's actually going to be like the villain or the star in initially. Him kind of being in most of episode 6 would be surprising to me. Another theory I had that I wrote down was that this Loki, this would be crazy. I talked to my buddy who's been watching it, who's not like a huge like Marvel fan, but loves Loki and watching the show because of that. And I mentioned to him how, what if this Loki turns on Sylvie at the last second and joins Kang and becomes this King Loki?
They're not gonna do that.
That'd be so sick.
I know, but
that'd be crazy.
But it's you have to remember, like this is Disney, this is Marvel. Like if they did, it would be absolutely insane. But like this is Loki, like this is his show, and they're not gonna have him turn at the last second. There's
set
no
up
way.
a good second season though, because there's been a lot of rumors and reports about a second season.
Yeah,
and him switching again would set up a Sylvie, Loki, Mobius kind of like. It set it up for the next season. Also, honestly, like another leading candidate is that, okay, it is Kang in there in the castle, and then the King Loki from the trailers and stuff is just a vision or a dream.
Yeah.
Which I think specifically in this episode, we had that moment where Sylvie's asking Loki, like, or telling him, like, hey, if we take down the TVA, like maybe there's a timeline for you to rule. And that's just a callback to Loki's biggest motivation. Is just to rule something, right?
Yeah, just to accumulate power.
Yeah. There's been a lot of character development in this show for this character, but at the end of the day, I think his fantasy that he would envision would still be him, ruling over Asgard, defeating the Avengers. That could be a dream sequence in the next episode. I'd love to see it. Guys, I'm talking too much. Thomas, I want to hear your thoughts on this episode and maybe what's going to come in the finale.
This episode just talk about blowing my mind right away in the first part of the day and making the rest of the day not live up to expectations. Boy, man. It started hot and heavy. As soon as I saw Mjolnir stuck in the ground, like I saw Yellow Jacket, I saw the Thanos copter, but Throg hooked me. The fact that it could be related to Alligator Loki is just a what if in my mind. I tweeted that I think it answers some questions and it presents more questions. Unfortunately, my notebook is nowhere to be found. But I know that a lot of questions that were answered were tiny little minuscule questions that everybody had already assumed the answer to. I just chose not to assume. But the questions that I really do have is, who is the villain, of course? Are we there? And, I would love it. It's not going to happen, but I would love it if Dr. Doom is in that castle and he is the real villain, and it's because he's the one. He's the one.
The Void gives me like serious like Phantom Zone vibes. Like that's the thing, is it's like I can see the Void coming back in some way, and they've already done this with other Marvel stuff where they've kind of tweaked things, like renamed things slightly, and I could see them like the Fantastic Four somehow. Maybe humans, there's a ton of radiation in the Void, and humans don't do super well in there, and then they come out as Fantastic Four. Like, I don't know. It's on the slate, like it's happening. Like the movie's coming, so they need to start leading that bread trail, those breadcrumbs.
It's got to be set up in Ant-Man 3. I feel like that I feel like it's leading there so like. Not obviously, but that makes so much sense with Kang being in it and the quantum realm and explaining their existence, which could kind of be attached to Loki in some way if Kang's involved. But
whomever is going to go down at the end of this is going to cause a ripple effect through time and space. If, of course, they do go down and Loki doesn't betray everything that we know and love about him, I would stab him. I really think that if it were Doctor Doom and you want Fantastic Four, well, then the only reason the Sacred Timeline has even existed is because he won the multiversal war, and his entire Sacred Timeline is ensuring the Fantastic Four never, ever, ever are created.
You're saying so many good things, Thomas. I want that. I want Doom. I want it so bad.
Yeah, I do too. I saw the castle and I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be Kang, and then the castle showed up and I was like, well, that looks like it's from Latveria.
Yeah.
I was like, it definitely gives me Doctor Doom vibes, like so hardcore. And then but really somebody, I feel the Sacred Timeline exists so that either, if it is Kang, simply put, he's accruing more power, but then there's going to be something else underneath it that's important, and it's holding someone else down. The theory that I've seen a lot on the interwebs would be Immortus, not Kang, but the variant version of Kang. Immortus is got the entire Sacred Timeline created so that he's the only Kang to ever exist, which really does fit in with what Immortus is, and it would fit into why the TVA was created and the Sacred Timeline as well. Weird tangential question. Do you think that whomever is controlling everything, do you think that they speak through the timekeepers and Miss Minutes, or just through the timekeepers?
I personally do not think it's Miss Minutes. Jack Pugh's comment says Miss Minutes still sus too. I don't know. I'm kind of in the mindset that Miss Minutes might just be an AI.
Yeah.
Like she's not actually this like evil thing. I think it honestly was through the timekeepers. That was his only way of communication with Renslayer specifically. I think, whoever it is, Kang, Loki, whatever, I think they can control Miss Minutes and like they set the settings, right? And they delete the file they want to and kind of set the filters and all that. But I don't think Miss Minutes is acting as a voice for whoever's behind it. Oh no.
Yeah, if they're pulling all the strings, that would mean Miss Minutes is an agent of them somehow. It's just, I think that with Miss Minutes, here's the program or whatever, and it does its own, but it's still working for the cause.
Yeah. I had one thing to ask you guys, kind of like one of our wrap-up questions here for Loki before we hype up Black Widow real quick before we wrap up the whole show. What do you guys think happens with the Renslayer Mobius side of things, right? Because next episode, you imagine it'll be kind of a similar deal where we go back and forth between like the castle and maybe the TVA. Like I have an idea. I would imagine Mobius's first move is to try to unlock B-15 and then have them work together to try to burn the place down. But what does that mean, right? Like he goes, I'm going to go burn it down, right? To burn it to the floor. What's his plan, right? And everyone listening in the comments, let me know what you think the plan is as well, because I'm at a loss. I don't know, David, what Mobius is thinking.
I have something for you. And I think this is going to bring King Loki. I think this is where we see King Loki. I think that whoever the villain is grabs another Loki variant, being King Loki, the most powerful Loki, and uses him to kind of do his bidding on this second front, which is at the TVA.
Okay.
And then the main villain, or I guess the Kang or whoever, or in my case, I think it might be the Watcher. I think that, I think that's where you get, I think that's because there's going to have to be some sort of conflict on that side.
Right.
And I don't think Mobius is just going to fight Minutemen for however long he's on screen.
No. Yeah.
No.
It seems like it might be actually civil between him and Renslayer at the beginning of when he gets there. Based on like a TV spot or something where there is still them like talking just in the TVA. I mean, they do seem to they haven't really dove into it much in this show, but they do seem to have some sort of relationship, Renslayer and Mobius, that like we haven't really gotten much of, but they do have a history of past. They've been friends for however long they've been in the TVA.
I think that's just like a coworker, like a manager to favorite kind of employee kind of relationship. Like I get that kind of vibe.
What are the odds that Mobius convinces Renslayer and like has her turn? Because Renslayer does not know who it is. I feel like she's trying to stick to the status quo because she is the one in charge for the most part. But there has to be some kind of doubt in her head, in the back of her mind, right? Because she does not know, and she did not know that the timekeepers weren't real.
You know, I almost said 0 right off the bat, but then I had a little bit of doubt in the back of my mind, so I'm gonna say 1%.
Okay,
because anything is possible. And also that 1% is me hoping that she turns, because I always love a good redemption story, Kylo Ren. So I'll say 1%.
Yeah, I'm about there too. I don't know. I don't think we see a turn. I think that her character to me has been so like they've built her up as this bad, not even big bad. She's just I work for the bad guy kind of thing, just following orders. I don't think we see a turn. I honestly think she bites the dust by the end of it. I think that I don't think she makes it out of the episode. I don't think Mobius is the one to do it. But I think she gets caught in the crossfire somehow.
Do we think that the TVA and the Void Castle kind of squads kind of ever like, do they get together at the end? Do they clash at the end? Because I cannot in my
I don't know how, but I'd like to see Renslayer know who's behind it all. I'd like that revelation to happen.
And that's what I'm thinking
I don't think that happens unless they do converge somehow.
Because the person, whoever it is, King Loki, the Watcher, Kang, whomever, Doom, you'd think they might want to. Silver Surfer shows up. You'd think they'd want to maybe go to the TVA to like put everyone back in check. Maybe, I don't know. It depends how it goes, I guess, with Sylvie and Loki kind of approaching the castle. I'm with Jack here in the comments saying that I have no idea what to expect from this.
Yeah, I have.
Finale, I have no idea. Like, I'm just spitballing out here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm no expert.
I think Renslayer will make her way to the Void. I don't think it's by choice. I think that she and Mobius are going to fight, and I think that Mobius is just going to come to the point where he's like, well, it's not killing you, but it's punishing you at the same time. And then that could be, is Alioth still enchanted when she gets there? If so, would she be able to just walk to the castle?
I have a question. Do we think that you can use the Tempad to get to the Void, or do you have to prune yourself?
Now, yes, because they left from the Void on the Tempad, so it would have left a coordinate,
right?
Or what if, like, we don't know where the TVA is or when the TVA is? Is it a possibility that it is there, like that the Void is a planet? Like, if this is all a facade, right? If this is all a facade, they can. I don't know. It could be
Mysterio. It's Kang holds a globe like Mysterio held that globe in Far From Home, and that's the TVA. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? That'd be so cool.
If he has like this little terrarium, because we've kind of seen like
it's
the other buildings out of the TVA kind of thing, but you don't see. There's no atmosphere. It's just kind of dense. It's just kind of it looks like a big dense ball or block or something.
Yeah, and Thomas's theory from episode 1 was that the TVA is in the quantum realm. It's that little circular kind of like cityscape we see in Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I think is a great theory, and I think still is. Imagine if they burn down the TVA, quote unquote, and then all of a sudden they're just in the quantum realm.
Oh man.
I think that the TVA has the ability to jump through time, and that's what they've been doing, but I don't know if they have all of the power, I guess, that they said they do. I think like the Void being this, this is the timekeepers are weaving time, and this is just what they haven't figured out yet, and it's at the end. But I don't know. I could see it where it's some revelation where, the Void is just a planet and they're out there, or it's somewhere in the quantum realm or whatever. It's an actual location instead of being just this etherical thing on the timeline.
Yeah, that's I often during this show kind of not liked the idea or had trouble understanding the TVA. Like, how powerful really are they, right? Like, because in episode 1, boom, Infinity Stones worthless in here, and they set up all this like crazy tech of time traveling and this and that and the other, and it's like, where does this land in the power scale of the MCU? Really, like, where does it really land?
I've watched, I've read, I've listened to too much fiction to believe any of this. Like, for it to happen, it feels so. From the very beginning, after the first episode, I said, like, this is just straight up Wizard of Oz. Like, this is them standing in front of the big projection face. This is just a big show, and we've seen that in bits and pieces. But I can see a world where it goes a lot bigger, which would suck because that probably doesn't mean we get this big multiversal blow up that I think a lot of people want at the end of it, at the end of this show. And that I think people thought we got, like, at the end was episode 3 when Sylvie's first introduced, and you see all the timelines doing this. I know I stood up and said, "Oh my God, this, like, they did it."
Yeah.
And then it turns out, oh, okay, that didn't really mean a ton.
They kind of just put it back together. Or, you know, a thought I had actually watching yesterday. Notice from episode 2 when like she nukes all these different timelines with the reset charges, and then in episode 4, it's like, oh, it all got put back together. So
the line is
tidy
again. Yeah.
Here's my thing. Because the TVA members, the Minutemen or whatever, are so mind wiped, and they were variants, and there's a power over them, isn't there? And we don't really know if the sacred timeline is even a real thing.
Yep.
Isn't there just a chance they were reset, mind wiped in the TVA by whoever's in charge, and those actually happened, but they were told, "Oh, we're fine." Like, I
can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
It's a stretch, but I feel like there's so much
where they just painted over it. Essentially,
I think it's part of what I actually hope happens, and that's kind of how we can wrap this up. I guess is like what I hope actually happens, not like a prediction. Is like, I hope it's all a facade. It's all a hoax for like the most part, you know, where it's like it's all a bunch of BS. The sacred timeline, all this, and the multiverse does exist, and the TVA has just been getting in the way of it. I don't know. It's so. I hope they wrap that up and set us on a path towards a great multiverse of madness and Doctor Strange. If they do end up setting up the multiverse, because I feel like I started the podcast saying this, like, I want to just have a simpler understanding of how it works, I suppose. I want to be past this whole sacred timeline stuff by the end of this. By the end of this series,
I don't know how they do that. And then, like, the next movie is Shang-Chi, right? Or is it Eternals next?
Shang-Chi's next after Black Widow.
Shang-Chi's next. Like, I don't know how they go from, okay, we're blowing things up, and now we're going to get pretty small, relatively so, in the MCU again. Like, there could be multiverse ties into Shang-Chi somehow, but I don't know how they do that and then bring it back down again. Okay, just a second, we have to do this pit stop on this smaller thing here, and then go blow it back up again for Eternals. Whereas I can see a world where Eternals, the event happens there, the multiversal reveal or whatever happens in that movie, and then that goes directly into Spider-Man.
That'd be crazy if Eternals tied in, because I don't expect it to. I think it's going to be its own kind of.
But then what's the point? Like it has to. Like, it's because otherwise it's just they're introducing these characters and they have no reason for being there.
Yeah, it's funny. I agree. There is some issues with setting up with what Loki has set up with the multiverse and the sacred timeline, where it's like, what you almost are just like, what does it matter at this point? These small stories, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, seem so mundane and small now compared to like what's happening in Loki, like these big, broad strokes ideas that change what we think of the MCU. I mean, it's cool on one hand, but it's also a problem, I think. I think my final word on this before we hype up Black Widow to end the show is I hope by the end of the episode they set straight how, I guess, sort of time and the multiverse works. If that happens, who knows? But I hope they do that, because the only guarantee we have, and not even really a guarantee yet, is that Spider-Man will continue some sort of multiversal story, and they need to set that up better.
But do we know that? Like, have they said that? We don't know if it's going to have multiversal elements at all.
I mean, even if you don't like, and I will believe it when I see it with Toby and Andrew, the reason beyond any of that why I would think it's going to have those elements is simply because Doctor Strange is in it, and Doctor Strange months later, it's
and
Multiverse of Madness.
And Doc Ock is there, and Jamie Foxx is there. Like, there's enough evidence, but they have not said. No. Whereas Doctor Strange is very much Multiverse of Madness. Like, they're saying it as explicitly as they possibly can.
Right.
Well,
I just hope Loki sets it up.
I will say that on that subject, on the Spider-Man of it all, Molina did say it's his exact character picking up from that exact moment in the river using de-aging technology. So reading between those lines, it would be multiversal, but the question is, how in the blue hell do we get there?
Yeah.
We got a couple movies.
I don't know, though. I don't think any movie besides, I don't think Black Widow, I don't think Shang-Chi, I don't think Eternals do anything with the multiverse. I feel like those are their own.
So they're going to set up this huge, they're going to set up probably the biggest event in the history of the MCU. Like, because compared to Thanos, compared to the multiverse, Thanos is a guy. Like, Thanos is one dude. The multiverse so they're going to set up this whole thing, and then for the next 6 months or whatever, until December or possibly February, go, oh yeah, whatever. Like, just, it's fine. Don't even worry about it. Like, I understand with Hawkeye, we're probably not going to get multiverse in Hawkeye. Miss Marvel, maybe if that comes out in 2021, I'm still skeptical there. But I just can't see them blowing it up and then having nothing touch on it at all.
Then, I mean, because I just feel like Eternals is not going to open, not even going to mess with that kind of can of, that's so much. Because
they're so big. Like, they're so, Eternals is bigger than any heroes that we've seen so far. Bigger on a I guess, plain sense of things. Like, we've seen gods, we've seen titans, but these guys are they control everything. They're literally the forces of the universe.
Do we think they're beyond the multiverse and beyond the TVA?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. Oh. I don't know.
They are on Earth. They are on Earth.
They're on Earth, but it's similar to I guess Loki being on Earth, but he's a god and they're bigger than him. If they were in their I guess being form or whatever, their eternal form, they're pulling the strings. I think to the best of my understanding of Eternals, and I haven't read a ton of Eternals comics, but they're literally the forces pulling the strings of luck and the strings of this thing over here. They're the conductors of the symphony that is the universe.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, man, Phase 4 MCU, the ideas are maybe getting a little too big for my little peanut brain. Between the multiverse and the Eternals, man, I'm having a hard time keeping up.
It's just happening really fast.
And which is funny because we were waiting so long, and now suddenly it's I can't even keep up. All right, Thomas, what do you think? What do you want? What do you want to see at a Loki finale?
I hope to God we get Kang. David, Kang is my favorite Avengers villain, Marvel villain of all fracking time, because it is about time. I think it's interesting that Phase 4 is really so far playing with the idea of time. It was, if we were to follow the original chronological order of how stuff was supposed to occur, it would have been, I'm counting Spider-Man Far From Home in this Phase 4, just even though it's technically not. Far From Home set 8 months after Endgame. Then we jump back to 2016 with Black Widow. Then we jump back forward 6 months after Endgame for Falcon Winter Soldier. Then we would be jumping back instantly after Endgame, 3 weeks after Endgame for WandaVision. Then going and playing with literally all of time in Loki. I have a feeling that this playing with the fourth dimension of time is not going to stop anytime in this phase. And I'm so hopeful that we will get a bunch of different kings throughout phase 4. I don't know how this went from Loki to phase 4, but it just did. And I really genuinely hope that in the finale of Loki, they actually answer one question and one question alone, and that is, what the hell happened during the multiversal war? Because I think of all the TVA hubbub, that feels like the only true thing they talked about. And they just spun it in their own way, because the multiversal war, the secret wars, I went there. It feels like it's coming, and it feels like everything's pointing that way. America Chavez is going to be cracking it with multiversal powers, always able to transfer through those points. And I think that Loki, and I'm hoping Loki can answer how time is relevant to the multiverse itself.
Isn't it crazy how like we had the first show was 2 main Avengers, Wanda and Vision. And then we had one show where a character literally became Captain America. And the Loki show is proving to be like what could potentially be the most important project of the next however many years of MCU. Like, yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, it's true, right?
That's actually very reflective of phase 1, if you will. Loki is the reason Avengers even happens.
That's true.
So, that was a nice callback there, Klein.
I say things every once in a while.
All right.
Walking clock is right twice a day.
Quickly, Black Widow tonight, maybe tomorrow for Klein. T-, it'll be a little over 2 hours for me from right now. Walking into the theater, checking it out. Wow, I need to go. Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson's. You would assume her last time in the MCU. You know, you never say never. There's been quotes coming out where it's like, you never know.
It seems the last like 5 days have been all about the dancing around the subject of Scarlett Johansson in the MCU.
And I feel like Feige simply just doesn't want to rule anything out.
Exactly. Right? They don't know how, they have no idea how long this is going to go. Like the MCU, its tail could be like, they have no idea when it's going to end, and I don't think they want to count anyone out.
And there's a part of it too where just that report came out yesterday, Klein, where I don't know if you saw this, Thomas, with the contracts.
I did.
How the actors are getting now, they're going to be getting smaller contracts, which I think people are freaking out about it. Like, oh no, we're not going to see the heroes for as long now. I think it's more about using leverage to get more money, because if you know, like the history of it, like Evans, Hemsworth, Johansson, Renner, I think even too. They signed Jackson signed longer contracts for like less money, like even money. Like it wasn't. I don't even think it was even back ended at all. RDJ signed like a two movie contract, and then was able to renegotiate and ended up being like the highest paid actor of the last decade. So I think it's kind of part of that, like with the
you never know as an actor, right? You never know what your value is going to be in 3 years. Like, so there is a bit of a risk there, but you're getting into the MCU, so ideally that means your stock is just going to go up and up. So after those 3, like look at Tom Holland, right?
I was going to say, think about Tom Holland.
Yeah, like man. He's now not one of the biggest names in movies, but maybe in another 5 years he will be. Like he's definitely on that trajectory. Like he's going to be basically Indiana Jones in Uncharted next year. Like he's got this other blockbuster stuff coming out. There's some sci-fi movie with Daisy Ridley he's in. Like,
that came out.
Did it come out? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
David, didn't you see that?
No, I almost did. I didn't. No.
But it's I think as an actor, you want to sign these shorter deals because you think you're getting into the MCU. You don't know where you're going to be in 5 years. And hopefully with a sure thing, quote unquote, sure thing like the MCU, you're going to be there at the height of your career.
Right.
I think it's important to the quote that I latched onto the most is he says, we're kind of looking for people who are just excited and want the opportunities to play more in our world, as opposed to those who look at it like it's like contractual obligation, and that's part of why they keep it smaller. So then it's like, well, we have this idea. Are you interested? Oh yeah, I'm totally interested. Let's do this crazy thing with this character in this project for 5 days.
Right.
And I think that's going to lead to a much more cohesive and likely more crossovers, I think, in the MCU, because it'll then become a picture by picture deal, as opposed to this giant trilogy, that trilogy, these appearances over here, and things of that nature.
Thomas, do you have the breaking news alarm ready?
Oh, you know it. Sounded breaking news.
This isn't that crazy.
No, I think I just saw the same thing you're about to say.
Clark Gregg,
Yeah.
Agent Coulson himself, has tweeted out the poster of What If and has said, "One question changes everything. Marvel Studios animated series What If streaming August 11th." Clark Gregg, Agent Coulson.
He's in it. There's
he's in it. He's got to be in it, right?
He doesn't do this I don't know. He rarely does this sort of stuff for promotional. He'll congratulate individual actors on social media, but
not the projects
themselves, and not
Clark
even
Gregg's return to the MCU. It's been so many years, right? Everyone, all right.
No, David. He's still in the MCU. It's just a different timeline.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll fight you to do that thought. Here's my question on that really quick. Is it what if Coulson never died, or is he just a player in another story?
Yeah, I think he's just a player in another
If there's
story.
that Guardians Avengers bit, is he in that?
Or is he with Killmonger and Tony?
Yeah.
Because he played a big part in the first couple Iron Mans, or all 3 Iron Man, but the first one, he's pretty prominent in the first movie.
He's the agent, or the Shield agent. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Back to the plot. Back to Black Widow. Thomas, anything you're excited about? When's your showing? What's going on? How's the hype? Where you at?
The hype is through the roof, David. We're about to go into the movie theater in like an hour and 45 minutes. I must be sitting my sweet ass down in the theater. Can't wait. It's been so long since I was in a movie theater watching Marvel. I've watched Star Wars in a movie theater more times than Marvel in the last 2 years. Think about that. That's depressing. That's very depressing. Since we haven't had a Star Wars movie in 2 years either, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hype. I'm hopeful that honestly, I'm just excited. I don't have any hopes. I'm here. I'm here for the story. I want to see the family dynamic. I do got one hope. I hope we get a Winter Soldier cameo in a flashback. And I hope we get a lot of flashbacks, because we love them on this show.
Oh, I love your flashback.
Love a good flashback. And of course, I want to see the official setup for the Thunderbolts. I'm still on that train.
Klein, buddy, whenever you see Black Widow, I'm not going to be mad. I'm not bullying you into seeing it today, but whenever you see it.
I do have questions. You work at 4 a.m.?
I wake up at 4 a.m. to work at 5 a.m.
What time is what time are you allowed to go to what is the showing time?
12:05 is it starts.
A midnight showing. That's rough.
So 12:05 is so it'll be, the movie will start at 12:30, 12:40 probably, depending on.
Yeah, no, you'd be an all-nighter situation.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Go to bed, dude.
So, Klein, you might see it then tomorrow, maybe in theaters?
Either tomorrow in theaters during the day, like finish work and go tomorrow morning, which I think would be fun, because those going to the movie theaters before noon is awesome. No, even before lunchtime. I'm talking 10 or 11, because you're usually the only one there. I saw Force Awakens on opening day. I woke up and then my showing was at 10:30, and it was awesome. So I might do that. I'm excited. I don't think. And I said this on the direct the other day. There was a couple people looking for quotes about people being excited, but also some questions and that kind of thing. And I feel like I'm less excited than I should be. I don't know if it's just I haven't been in a movie theater. I don't know if it's something about what I've seen of Black Widow so far. But like, I'm cautiously optimistic because it does feel a little cookie cutter. If that's just from what I've seen of the trailer, it does. It feels very. I felt similarly going into, like the first Ant-Man movie and going into Captain Marvel, where I've seen it. And it's like, okay, this is going to be the hero fights the villain and nothing. Like it doesn't. I don't think it's going to change the MCU all that much. But I'm excited. I love David Harbour. I'm excited to see him. I think Florence Pugh is one of the best up and coming actresses in Hollywood. I think she'll have 2 or 3 Oscars by the time she's even 35 years old. Like, I think she's just that talented. I think I hope she sticks around in the MCU, which reports are that she will. But I'm stoked. I'm excited that we're back here. I mean, it feels like we've had a glut of MCU content in the since January, since WandaVision, just because like we're so not used to this every week having something to talk about. And I'm stoked. I'm stoked. The last time I sat down, I didn't even see Far From Home in the theaters. I was living in a small town that didn't have a movie theater. Wow. So the last MCU movie I saw in theaters was Endgame, and I drove 3 hours to see it. So I'm just excited to get back into a movie theater and see a superhero movie again.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Honestly, like wrapping up kind of my thoughts here is just that I'm so excited to be back in a hopefully packed theater tonight. You know, it's 7 p.m. opening night Thursday in the RPX, Black Widow, MCU. I'm just excited to be back in the theater, enjoying it amongst fans. The shows are nice. You know, I love Loki. I've enjoyed the other 2 as well. But movies to me just hit different. Simply, even if they're bad, I love being in a theater with the big screen, watching with a group of strangers and my girlfriend, and that's it. And I'm just excited to be back, and I'm excited that this kicks off. Was going to be 3 more movies after this for the MCU, and Suicide Squad and Venom, so even more superhero.
We don't need to talk about Venom.
We don't need to talk about Venom. No. But that one
the best part of Venom is Lady Venom. Let's be real. We've been here before. It's the best.
I'll still be there opening night. You know me.
Yeah. Oh no, it gotta be. Spidey fans unite.
You gotta see what's going on. You don't know who's gonna pop up these days. So yeah, Black Widow. Super excited to get the MCU back in theaters. And just to be there, man. Be there with the fans. Be there with everyone. Finally getting back into theaters. Filling them with people. It's super exciting. Man, I'm very excited for tonight. Less than 2 hours away from my showtime. So let's wrap this up.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
I've kept you guys too long.
No, thank you so much.
Not at all. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, this is episode 5 of the Loki special. And next week, at a time still to be determined, but probably in the afternoon, we will be covering what I assume is going to be an absolute bonkers finale for Loki. And we will be joined by Liam, King of the Hill to Die on Crowley. I mean, it's going to be
You could get him? You can get him? Oh, my God. On his busy schedule? Holy moly. What a get.
David's got some pull. He knows some people. So very excited for that. Recommendations for the I don't know if we did actual recommendations earlier. Did we? I don't remember.
We just talked about
stuff we watched.
Yeah, no recommendations.
Okay.
I don't have one. No, sounds like Monsters at Work is good. Go check that out. I haven't checked it out though.
Klein, you got anything to recommend to the audience?
It might be a little out of this sphere, but watch Summer of Soul. It's on Hulu in the States. It's on Disney Plus pretty well everywhere else. One of the best movies of the year. It's fantastic.
Summer of Soul.
Summer of Soul. Documentary about the Harlem Cultural Festival in 1969. If you love like R&B and funk music, like it's as much an album as it is a documentary. It's fantastic.
That's
directed by Questlove. Yeah, it's really good.
Oh yes. Okay, I've heard of that. Definitely Hulu in the States. David, we're watching that.
All right.
In case you didn't know, folks, my recommendation is not going to be for the visual. It's going to be for the audio. Return of the Pod, a podcast about all things Star Wars and more. I listen to them religiously. It's one of the 3 podcasts that I listen to as soon as it drops, or as soon as I have free time. They gave us a shout out this past week, which is, humbling, and I may or may not have shed some tears after, because all I've ever wanted was to be on Return of the Pod. So having my name there is, it's the start. Brian Silliman, Caitlin Bush, Matt Romano, they're the hosts of Return of the Pod. If you love Star Wars, which, I mean, if you're here, you probably do, then I recommend that podcast for you. And they have an older show if you want to go back in time and listen to them cover Clone Wars and things like that. It's called Job on the Pod, but that is a dead one. And technically, they're not allowed to mention it, but I'm not affiliated with them, so I will mention it to you, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to all of them. They're amazing. They have interviews with Sam Witwer, Matt Lanter, and Ashley Eckstein, amongst a bunch of other amazing artists. Return of the Pod, a podcast about Star Wars and more. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the show. Klein, dude, thank you so much for joining us, man.
I've loved it. Thank you so much for inviting me. I love doing stuff like this, so it's been a pleasure.
You held the show together when my internet stabbed me in the face. So much appreciated. I know that all of our fans are going to enjoy this episode because you brought some good stuff. You brought good stuff. As always, there could be no show without the Clark Kent doppelganger to my right, world famous journalist David Thompson, bringing the news and spicy webs. Thank you to Terry McIver for all of his hard work, bringing in guests, all his behind the scenes work with our socials and research. Thank you to the HWWSWebTV family for supporting us and carrying us on the network. And most importantly, thank you to you, our fans, that join us weekly, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube,
or listening via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or Spreaker.
We appreciate you spending your time with us.
Please like, follow, subscribe, drop us a comment, leave a review, and give us 5 stars if you're feeling generous. We really appreciate all of your support.
As always, I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
I'm David Thompson.
And I'm Klein Felt, Klein of the Dino.
Yeah.
Klein of the Dino! Thank you for joining Loki Special, Episode 5 of Lights, Thunder, Action. We will see you all next week for all time.
Always.
Bye.